Now we got a game to watch.
See, my point of view here is that even if Corey gets dominated, which I don't think is super likely, I just see Panker having enough room that he's gonna walk up the shadows and say hello, because no one else's second wind is actually gonna be able to deal with them. Panker can pull double duty here if he really needs to.
And of course he's gonna be on that Winston, and some of the best plays from Panker we've seen on a Winston so far. So again, as we load on to Li Xiong, we're starting off, of course, here on Garden now. It's gonna be relatively similar compositions, but it's Blase on the Pharah, while Zaxel is going over to a Tracer.
Also, previews here for OWC Season 2, with all the uncertainty over Fisher, if he does not return for the Gladiators, that man right there, Panker, very likely to be the main tank for the Gladiators heading forward, but Wolf gets bopped by his Zenyatta counterpart early on, and the Legion have to hold it back a little bit, but now Panker decides room to go as Flubby gets Wolf again!
But they've already lost two. Shadows and Moopy gone, so even though Flubby was able to take out Rolf again, it's not going to be enough. Corey finally answers back, dealing with that Flubby threat. That's going to be Legion as the point unlocks to take it first.
Also going back to the opening narrative there, Corey didn't even have the chance to take down Shadows because Panker was right there, and I'm not quite sure if Panker is. Panker could still be even deeper as Moopy goes, yep, time to reset.
10% already secured for the Legion. And throughout that fight, Pooks, he was able to, of course, build up that Valkyrie for his team. Corey now is going to have the Infrasight for his team. And Gods and Panker doing so much. They'll have both tank on ultimates very shortly here. So it's going to be a difficult retake for second win as they're making their approach from the bridge side, but they're being contested. Panker and Gods already up front. Instant peeled back into the back line.
Yep, and Zaxel's out of the fight immediately. Corey, room to work with, gets Shadows. And the Legion can play cool, calm, and contained right now. They were never in danger this entire time. The second win engage was certainly disjointed. As a result, the Legion just get go back here and be like, yep, Flubby, just hold on here. Get staggered a little bit as Moopy goes, why am I this far back?
Now they have taken out Blase as Zaxel somehow with the pulse bomb takes out Pooks. I did not see if that stuck. Panker's gonna try his best to delay this, but now there are 4 members for second win onto the point.
Second win was able to make an opportunity there. The big part was Zaxel. Ends up with 2, but is it big enough? Probably not. Shadows is down again as Corey deals with the lifeline of second win. A key Widow pickoff, and Zaxel, even though he's darting to and fro, just not enough there as Corey continues to clean up on the outskirts.
Yeah, I said Shadows had the opportunity to try and hyper carry here, but so far on Li Xiong, nothing has been going his way now. Legion already at 81%. They did commit a lot into that last fight, while second win will be coming in 3 of their own here. Honestly, all they have to answer in response is that Transcendence, so this is second win's opportunity to win a fight.
All right, early pulse bomb out from Zaxel does not work because the Transcendence came out in response. Wolf was able to keep himself alive, and the Legion, they back out a little bit, but everyone's still pretty healthy. Shadows ends up having to burn the res on the other end, and here comes Corey back in the point. Point blank Widowmaker, nothing to fear. Blase in the skies, Corey on the ground, backed up by the Diva. And second win, still looking for a way in. Shadows might have done just that. Got Corey around. Moopy comes in the support. Second wind, looking like they won't get fully goose-egged here. Should be second wind, gonna be getting control, but the question is for how long?
Yeah, the Legion have already set themselves up for a great advantage here. 99% here. Second wind can't lose a single fight. As we come into the next one, we do have both Valkyries in play, but it's going to be Zaxel with the pulse bomb. Last time he did connect onto Pooks with it, I believe. So we'll see if he can recreate that. Get that Mercy out of the sky instantly. Blase is making his way onto the point. Bridge fight taking place. Blase is just getting free damage off onto Moopy.
Zaxel, meanwhile, flanking from the back. Pulse bomb out. Dunked on by Corey on the other side. Pulse bomb did not connect. And Rolf gonna get right back up even after the pick off the Legion. Working on the 6v5, but Panker got a little bit crazy towards the back line, got punished, but Shadows now out of it. He took the long fall, no grapple up. Means that the Legion have a great opportunity to retake the point and get the round.
They're about to get the focus onto the Mercy here. Drop down to about 20 HP. Corey, for good measure with the headshot, takes Suppose out. And now, it's Gladiators Legion creeping on forward. The barrage is dropped down onto Janitor, who does fall. Overtime ticking away, and someone needs to get onto the point. They've got people here, but no one's able to maneuver in time. Suppose just barely misses that window, and Legion will be able to take the first point here on Li Xiong.
And the key here is that even when the Legion lost control of the point, they didn't really look like they were losing control of the map. You had a bit of a hero play from Zaxel there to start maybe pulling it back the other way, but so far the Legion have been outclassing Second Wind in just about every facet of gameplay imaginable. And now we're gonna go for a little bit of running. Corey on the 76, the Legion one of the few teams here to run 76 at the Contenders level.
Yeah, we saw them use it on Oasis City Center, I believe, and so they're gonna bring it out once again here. Now, this is great because it does have, of course, a lot of maneuverability with the sprint, with the speed boost coming out from Pooks. A lot of control available with Blase going out to that Brigitte. So Second Wind are going to have to be careful. They do want to play a little bit further range. They have Shadows here, so they want to make sure that he is not getting jumped on with that Widowmaker. Well,
the key to victory here is that Shadows needs to find Corey early, and oh wow, there's no chill whatsoever. The Legion continue to go deeper, pushing Second Wind on back. That was highly aggressive. Doesn't pick off anything, but does set the stage and means that they can now readjust back to the point and likely get first control.
Zaxel swaps off onto that Pharah, and so, even though the damage drop-off can be avoided for the most part by running up a little bit further, Zaxel is getting right into their face with this Pharah now, has to back off, but Shadows is able to get the kill onto Blase.
Good opportunity for Second Wind, but they're fighting from behind. Already lost control of the point, but Panker and Blase are out, likely not to be brought back up because, of course, there is no Mercy in play, and they're just slowly grinding down the Legion one after another, and that's going to be enough for Second Wind to move on in and get control of the point.
There's a smart swap-off coming out from Second Wind there because, of course, Shadows offers the long-range threat with that Widowmaker, that one-shot kill potential with a headshot. And now Zaxel also is peppering them. So if Shadows can land a body shot and Zaxel can just get some good poke damage off, that's just most of the team fight won. Now Corey, they're trying to get him the high ground with this Soldier 76. He does have 95% towards his sights.
Yeah, he's got to get attack fires with this fight for sure. Legion biding their time right now, dealing with the early pressure from Second Wind. They're able to dodge out of the way of the barrage. They went the weather report. Now they get to go back the other way. Attack fires are loaded. They see Moopy, he's already used Primal, and they're going to rotate around the left side. They're biding their time. They catch Zen out of position. They force out the Transcend, and that's nice coming out from the Legion. They set the stage because the Transcend wasn't really intended to go out there. Here comes the Visor, and it's room to work with for the Legion. But Second Wind still fading back, but it might not be enough.
They do kite back away from this, but the Legion, they've got Pooks, they've got, of course, that amped-up speed boost. They're able to continue this pursuit onto Second Wind. They're trying their best to stall this out for as long as possible, but the Legion are focus firing so well right now, cleaning them up pretty darn quick. Second Wind only able to secure 62% here. Legion playing a little bit from behind, but they're about to have a coalescence along with Panker on a Primal Rage, Winston. So the Second Wind next retake, they have to be careful going for this push. Now they will use that Infrasight, get all the information, but the Legion, they know that they can be aggressive here. Moopy!
Panker knew when to jump in for the extra bit of burst, got the pick off there. The Legion just crack Second Wind like they're making some morning omelets. 52%. Now, Second Wind still has the ability to bring this back, but it's going to be hard to get through this line of the Legions.
So a lot of swap balls coming out from Second Wind here as they are just going to go for the Goats composition. Moopy swapping off, of course, onto the Reinhardt. Shadows is now on that Zarya, but that means that puts them so far behind. They try to just muscle their way on in. They go ahead and go straight for the point. Coalescence is here.
Smart position there to go that direction. Gonna knock him off! Gets Moopy right off the other side. They even took the smart way around. Doesn't matter. Panker goes hello to the streets of Legion. Everyone!
It's a massacre, a complete massacre put on by Panker here with that Winston, and that's the biggest threat you really had to worry about when you're clumped up like that, up against the Primal Rage of Panker. Now 92%, the Legion with the holding pattern here. They don't want anyone to be able to make it onto the point. That's why you see Panker trying to body block there, but they are able to make it in. Self-destruct connects onto Suppose as Panker falls.
LA Gladiators fans, have a good look at your tank. Oh, okay. Oh, Legion, you might want to stay at the point. Let's hold the phone there for a moment as Second Wind just manages to hop back on over. Legion might have thought the victory was coming too soon after Panker went full Superman.
Legion, go ahead and reset there. As Corey did swap off on from that Soldier 76 over to the Pharah once he realized, you know, the GOAT's composition was in effect. And so it's going to be very difficult for Second Wind to try and deal with them, but also they can ignore him for as long as possible and just try and win the fight on the point as the rally is used. Now Corey on top, almost took down one. It's Blase to take out Suppose.
Blase does the work to the back end. Second Wind mortally wounded. Here comes Corey, going to drop the rockets right on top of their heads and ends up with another 2. So the Legion able to pull themselves out of the fire of their own creation. They get back onto the point. It's a late shatter coming in here from Second Wind, but fall through no longer there. Boopy takes a nade to the face. And Blase, he has a tire built up, but almost certainly not going to need it here. He used it anyways. Deal with some of the spawners coming back in. Does actually finish off the Tracer there. Zaxel able to rewind back out of the way. But now he's gone. Overtime in progress, and the Legion gonna be taking Lijiang here off of some ridiculous tank play from Panker.
Out the entire team. Panker knocked them all off the edge.
Yeah, kind of spanked them.
He literally, he took
Spanker.
his
Okay, well, Mica's dead. Let's just refocus on what happened here.
See, that's a 6K
Panker
in
was
from
setting
Panker.
the stage for essentially being the new main tank of the LA Gladiators. That's what we just saw there.
He literally backhanded the entire team off of a ledge and just went, bye, bye-bye. That was phenomenal. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's incredibly rare. You don't see that very often in Overwatch, period, because it requires incredible control of your Primal Rage, the right set of circumstances, and I just want to say, for the record, Second Wind approached that the right way. It isn't like they went around the outskirts to begin with. They're just like, okay, Panker's pretty good at this. We're not going to give him the easy knockoffs, and they all end up getting thrown off the edge anyways.
That kill feed in the corner, I feel like Panker's going to print it out and like frame it at home and just look at it and go, yeah, I did
The
that.
thing was, he wasn't done. After that Primal Rage, one of his first knockbacks, it got both the Reinhardt and the Lucio, but of course it's Lucio, so he survives.
Right.
But as his Primal Rage ends, he's like, no, get back here, Lucio. He jumps right back onto him. It was really great to see.
And that is what you call impressive tank play, which you were calling out in the beginning is a facet of Gladiators Legion.
Pure and simple, Panker is the best tank in North American Contenders, very possibly all of Contenders, period. He is that good, and this is a man where almost certainly he will be in OWL Season 2. It's just a matter of who, but right now I'd say the most likely decision would be for him to go to the Gladiators, just straight on upgrade.
So what you're saying is people jump on your Legion or your Gladiators jerseys now, make a Panker one, and you'll be ahead of the game. People will be like, oh, you must be psychic.
Yes, you will be cool before it was cool to be cool.
Are you making Overwatch League hipsters right now? How dare you?
Yes.
They exist out there. Let's talk about Second Wind's play. They did get on the point quite a few times and managed to gain some percentages. So let's talk about how they were doing.
Shadows was definitely overshadowed by everyone throughout most of this series. There was only really one good part on, I believe it was Garden, where he popped off, but that was because his team just created all the space. Gladiators were forced to fight onto the point as they were all trying to contest, and that allowed Shadows a lot of space. It wasn't his tanks creating the space for him, it was just the conditions of the fights that did. Beyond that, he went very invisible throughout most of this, and that is not what we want to see, especially coming into this matchup where throughout most of the season, it was Shadows that they were able to rely upon with that Widowmaker.
True, yeah. And Zaxel had a few good plays as Pharaoh, would you say?
I mean, he was there at a few moments, but the reality is that there wasn't too much of a bright side here for Second Wind, and that had everything to do with the Legion shining like the sun for most of it. The Legion were playing so incredibly well. There was a big gap between the two teams here, and that's not knocking Second Wind. That's nothing but praise towards the Legion.
That's very true. I'm very excited as we continue to go forward to see how well Legion is playing, because their composition, their teamwork, their communication, it seems to just really be on another level. And we will see even more of it as we head on to Kings Row, our hybrid map. So I'm going to take a wild guess here and say that Gods and Panker will go ham on Kings Row.
They will, but I think bringing Legion to Kings Row is always a good decision, because even though Panker's a very solid tank player overall, it's Winston where he gets the sort of reality-bending plays. He's not that quite ridiculous on Reinhardt. He's very good, very solid, but he's not going to just be knocking 6 people off into a pit on Kings Row, even if that was really something that Reinhardt could do.
Hey, there is a pit on Kings Row, so don't count him out.
No, the thing is, though, yeah, ZP is absolutely correct. Bringing Legion, of course, to Kings Row does kind of nerf the tank play coming out, because we'll see. We we often see, of course, on first point that you either have to play the Reinhardt or the Orisa, and Pinker, he loses a lot of initiative on the Orisa. You can't really do much other than hold up your shield or like put down the shield and wait behind it.
So are you saying that Second Wind has a chance, or are you just saying that it's going to be a little bit slower for Gladiators
Until
to
It means that it means that Pinker's probably not going to be the one that's outright beating them in the sense that he was throwing them off a building in the last map. I think it's more where we're going to see more good play coming out of Corey, for example.
Gotcha. Well, I'm hoping to see someone fall into a pit, but let's see if it happens.
I think the old-time hero play that I love seeing on King's Row is when you have a Zenyatta who just activates Transcendence, and then you have a Reinhardt charge the Zenyatta into the pit, but also survive because of the angle that he took.
I've seen that like clip, I think like 3 times in the last week on Twitter alone. Now, the Legion, of course, on the defense here. So it looks like they're not going to opt for the solo support defense that we've seen so popular here on King's Row. It is Gods going over to the Roadhog, though. And that's surprising. I imagine, you know, either Roll for Pooks going over for that. But instead now, as we look at the offense, Second Wind, they're opting out of also that solo support composition. They're going to go with triple tank, and it's just the solo DPS and Wub. Now, Wub, we know, generally gets brought in here on King's Row to play the Genji, to be that can opener. Instead, they're going to have him on the Hanzo.
Yeah, I mean, Second Wind probably has the reasons for this, but Wub has been better than the norm for sure on the Genji. I don't really think it's the greatest idea to take him off of it, but Hanzo's still solid. Still makes sense.
So they're going to move forward with the Orisa along with the Moira now as Second Wind deciding upon how they want to approach. But now with the speed boost, they're going to go ahead and push forward. The hooks do not connect as Shadows has dropped down to 40 HP.
Shadow's chunked, but he's Roadhog. He can take a little bit of a beating and still come out for the better. Not so much that, almost falling down to 100. Corey on top, looking for pickoffs as Widow. Hasn't found anything yet. And the lack of getting pickoffs here is giving Second Wind an opportunity. However, Fluffy in line of sight for way too long. Wasay getting pretty darn close to retire. And the window of opportunity for Second Wind might be closing.
Yeah, it's Legion really just taking advantage of the composition coming up from Second Wind. They don't have to directly engage with them. You see both DPS just playing from the windows here. Now the Second Wind, they're going to push themselves onto the point. Here comes the Dragon Strike out of Wub, but it's mostly avoided now. So we do have the tanks backed up into a corner, but no one's able to take advantage of it. One tick coming in for Second Wind.
At some point, Legion might want to consider getting the point, preferably before the second tick comes through. Corey ends up flying. I think he was the one who threw himself onto the point. Well, gonna grab 2. And now Wasay comes down to him. The tire to bring it back as Wub continues getting pickoff after pickoff. Comes back the other side, gets the 2 required. And that should be enough for the Legion to breathe, but perhaps not easily as Pinker falls.
Yeah, the issue is that they don't have their supports there right now. They are running back from spawn. And so the tank line will fall. Second Wind. It looks like they will be able to secure point A as the members of Legion are setting up for point B here. So we have the swap offs coming out. Pinker going over to that Reinhardt, as Gods will be swapping over to the Zarya, which I love to see coming out from the Legion.
Well, Second Wind, we'll see if they can get a little bit of fun here. Graviton up, and Wub was the one who got through point A. We'll see if he can set the stage on point B.
Yeah, he's got another Dragon Strike here, and Legion have to be careful on where they hold, because if they get cut off, then that could just spell the end of point B defense. So they're going to back away together here. They realize the threat of this Dragon Strike, but now they're putting themselves at a very vulnerable angle. There it is. Dragon Strike comes in. The tank line is jumped on.
Early Dragon Strike, but they're not quite able to get the Legion where you'd want there. Legion was able to withstand. They stepped out of the way. Second Wind's still going in pretty deep, but the Legion have options here. Not the least, which is just to be able to transcend the response. They're going to do just that. And now they wait. The Shatter came in. Pinker's able to get back up. So it's a bit wasted as the Legion continue to bend back in this team fight. They're giving up progress, but they can turn at moment's notice. And what they're really waiting for here is the tire.
Take a look at Gods. Gods has just swapped off also. Charge comes in. Pinker almost gets punished, but he survives with a sliver of HP. We'll be able to just hold back, and now he gets healed up. Corey, almost 50% with this Widowmaker, trying to take the 1v1 up against Shadows, but no, he takes a Fire Strike to the face.
It's grab time. That's what it's going to be. Gods has just picked up the grab. Waiting and waiting, but the time for waiting about to be over. Doesn't want to throw it in the Janitor's Diva here, but Pooks is after. Got to turn around. It's got to be now. There's the grab. The barrier, though, is out. They have to do it 4 on 6. The tire comes back the other way, and I don't think that was enough. Second Wind holding strong, blowing the Legion back.
Gods trying his best to fight back with that high charge Zarya, but Second win, we're just able to sustain out of that. The sound barrier coming in clutch. Even though Suppose did ultimately end up falling there. Kept his tanks alive, and in that fight especially, you know, you can rely upon the solo heal of that Moira. She offers so much with the Biotic Grasp, with the Biotic Orb, with that tank line. And now, as we move on to the next phase, on the third phase of King's Row, moving into the Foundry, they've got 4 minutes already. The Resurrect is gone.
Wob with the flanking Dragon Strike, no retreat, no surrender. Luigi go, we don't really have to worry about that. We're gonna transcend, but they're still down 2. Panker takes matters into his own hands, drops the Earth Shatter, but the follow through, not really there. Panker still swing the hammer, trying to buy time, surrounded by enemies on all sides, still somehow standing, but Corey is gone. Gods up, fully charged up, never grab soon. Panker actually getting out of the fray of battle.
Yeah, Gods, his shields have been so impeccable. Used primarily on Panker to keep him alive. There's another one going on out. Gods with another Graviton Surge is getting into the back line. It connects onto 3. This connects onto 4. There's a blade. Both Shamanas getting in on this fight. That will be the wipe coming out from the Legion, finally stabilizing here on this defense.
It's tank play. It is pure and simple tank play. Gods was doing so much damage charged up on the Zarya. Panker stayed alive against all odds, and Second Wind was unable to remove them.
Yeah, Gods, in a short time on the Zarya, has already built up 2 Gravitons, 20% towards the next one here. Second Wind have to be careful of charging him up. Panker just able to hold down a right click.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not so much what a block, it's why would you shatter there? Panker just stares him down, holds the shield, and the Legion just go, what was that? What was that supposed to be? As Wub goes, I'm done with this, please end me.
Yeah, through that, Gods charging up another Graviton Surge. He's already at 65%. Now Second Wind, they're gonna be making the swaps. As it looks like Janitor will be going over to that Zarya here. Flubby and Suppose, they've got their support ultimates up as the Coalescence is used first. They're charging on in, but Legion are able to just kite backwards.
Corey's gonna hold a little bit further back, goes, yeah, it's a beam, but I don't have to worry about that. Dragon Strike still up and in reserve. And by the way, in case you're curious, God's about to have the Graviton, doesn't need it to get rid of Suppose. The Legion now work at 6-on-5, and Corey goes, guys, you don't have to use the ults here. I got this on the other end. Sure, he ends up falling. Okay. Panker might have gone a little bit too deep. That actually puts Legion in a more critical position.
With the res onto Corey, though, that does stabilize them, and Second Wind think better of it. They do not want to stick around for another engagement. They have lost a lot of time here. Remember, they had about 4 minutes as we entered the Foundry portion. Now they're on to 1 minute and 45. Gods with another Graviton Surge. Panker hasn't had the opportunity to Earth Shatter because Gods has been ending these fights before they even start.
Yep, and it's one for another. Drops the ground one more time. Corey goes, here's a dragon for your troubles. Gonna grab 3 back the other way. And it's just God's high consistency, good damage on the Zarya. He's the only one on fire right now for the Legion, and it's for good reason.
I have to imagine that his average energy is sitting around 70–80% by the end of this match. This Zarya has been impeccable, and this is why it's such a treat to always see it now. Already at 21%, connecting with some great right clicks here. They're not even feeding over like that much charge over the Janitor. Look, after that last fight, he's only at 55%. Blase going in, but he gets charged by Moopy. That is the blade shut down.
Just got suplexed is what happened. Immediately taken down. The life crunched from his very body. The problem is for Second Wind is that they didn't have a game plan for that to immediately go back in. They're still taking a lot of time, and look at the camaraderie there. God's got knocked down, but Panker goes, I got you, shields him on up, and God's not phased, gets the pick up on the Flubby on the other side.
Gotta shield each other, right? Shield brothers coming out from the Zarya and the Reinhardt. Zarya, speaking of her, Gods, 75% towards another grab. Janitor has his though, so this is an opportunity for Second Wind, but Shadow's already gone down.
And there's a dragon on the other side, but you have the Transcend from Rolf. Doesn't fully deal with it as often Transcends can't because of the Mercy boost. But the Legion were able to get out fairly decently. And here comes Gods, play the Jaws music, was looking to be flanking around the side, decides against it, goes, no, we're going straight up the street. Dragon comes in off the dragon, and actually doesn't quite work out. The Transcend keeps everyone alive, and Second Wind with an opportunity.
Yeah, Dragon Strike, more like a Dragon Shave, a close one there. Barely missing out on that. Graviton Surge, now Corey's back with this Hanzo. He's trying his best as Pooks takes out Wub. Sniper for Sniper now. It's still a back and forth brawl, but the Earth Shadow gets blocked by Janitor. Still though, the damage is unrelenting as opposed, brings Moopy back into this. But it is gonna be another Shadow now as Moopy connects, but he's not able to follow up himself. He will fall.
Panker Shatter Shatter did enough. It was enough for one pickoff, and that lets the Legion reestablish. Mercy gonna get melted down off the skies. Vickers' tail in motion. And the Legion end up holding off the second wind here on point C.
Back and forth, and second wind, we're almost able to complete that out, but that was such a great defense coming out. The third points of King's Row. So now, the Legion, if they want to go ahead and secure this map, if they want to send themselves into match points, they need to secure second, and they need to push up 68.38 meters, and they've got the tools to do it. Gods is looking impeccable with that Zarya so far, really outshining Janitor. Talk about number of Gravitons built up. Gods had about 4 since he had swapped off on the second phase.
Yeah, you used the word outshining. It's quite literal in that sense, where Gods was just really this gigantic blue blob for most of it, where you couldn't make out the features, you just knew that a pantheon was residing within this Russian bodybuilder.
Yeah, I would venture a guess and say easily average 80 energy charge throughout all of that. Now the Legion, on their offense, they could try to play something wonky, but honestly, do they really have to? Just keep Panker on the Reinhardt, keep Gods on the Zarya, walk forward, let Gods do his thing, let him melt second wind.
And, I mean, again, I don't really feel there's much pressure here on the Legion where, sure, I mean, they still want to win 4-0. They want to make their playoff road as smooth as possible, get as high of a seeding as possible, so they don't have to worry about the possibility of potentially going against Fusion earlier than they would like. But so far, this is looking pretty darn good for the Legion. And, you know, the second wind, generally speaking, they've been outclassed in many facets of the game here.
Yeah, when WUB normally gets brought in for our hybrid maps and any other map really that he's brought in, he does kind of renew them, right? But even though he had a pretty good performance on the Hanzo, it still wasn't in that carry territory, as Shadows is still lagging behind now. So we're gonna have, of course, the Junkrat Widowmaker defense coming up from the second win as Legion. There we go, Gods is on that Zarya charging forward.
Corey can be holding here in the back, Widowmaker in action. Again, checking normal sight lines as he looks to rotate over to the right-hand side, where you get a little bit more of a high ground, more vantage points. But Legion is gonna go on to the point, go, all right, well, it's up to you guys to actually head on over to us. They take control of the hotel. God's already supercharged on the other side. And Corey just looking for it, but Placé's down, and this is for a second win. They can reestablish on the point just a little bit.
Yep, Pooks is able to res back as second wind didn't want to push forward into the hotel to try and punish him. Now the high ground is going to get contested as Blasé is up there with that Junkrat. Shadows has to be careful. One grenade can take him out.
He's looking for it, 34 HP and a dream. A Junkrat to the left. Of course, the grenade not on target. Meanwhile, he's looking for pickup side. There gets Pooks on the right side. The change of scenery, quite good there for Shadows. But second win, they still need to go on to the point is the issue here. But with Corey down, now they can actually start heading on over. They've given up a tick, but it's something they can work through. The problem is that Gods is here, and he almost has a grab.
Again, this is what the Legion need to do with the composition, with the Reinhardt, with the Zarya. All you really want to do is try and enable either the Reinhardt or the Zarya, and they've done both. They've got their Earth Shatter, they've got the Graviton Surge. So second wind have to be careful. They have to be split up here on the defense. Right now, the Legion sitting on 4 ultimates for this next push.
Well, the key thing for second wind, split up. You're way too close right now. You look at Gods. Gods is going, here's my game plan. I'm going to walk on forward and grab him. Now, of course, you don't want to get into D.Va side, and you do have to worry about the Riptire on the other end, but the Riptire's already out, and it's taking so long that the fight's already in progress. It ends up falling to Corey. Junkrat was out of the fight that entire time, essentially 6v5, and you see Gods still hanging on to the ground. Panker's invested the Earth Shadow a little bit earlier, and now they might not need to use it here. It's good enough, and it's a testament that if you're going to use the tire, you better be a little bit swifter than that.
There were so many ways to mitigate the damage of the tire too. If it went onto one of the squishies, of course, Gods, who's been spot on with his barriers all map long, would have probably blocked it. And now, coming on to the second phase, you're gonna have 4 minutes to move through King's Row. Now, not at the same pace as second wind, but they've got the tools to keep this momentum going, as second wind have now swapped off themselves, the Rhino Zarya. Moopy, we'll see if he can try and deal with Panker, but his shatters haven't really come up with much so far in the face of Panker's Ryan.
Rolf must feel very lonely right now. All the rest of the Legion get to have fun, And Roof is just back there to payload, and the fun hasn't quite stopped here just yet. We'll say gonna come out with the tire, going back on the other side. A little bit of rooftop parkour, and gets a pose! The Mercy pick, vital here, where second win they can back out, but now they can't engage for a much longer period of time.
Yeah, that was the prime target there. Of course, the primary healer for second win, whose primary job is to keep the tanks alive. So Moopy and Janitor can't do anything at all. They have to back away. They understand that they are playing behind, but that gives Legion all the free space. And that also compounds the fact that second win, with making the swap-offs, they don't have the time to build up a Graviton. They don't have the time to build up an Earthshatter. Charge comes on out, but Panker covers it himself. Janitor has fallen to Blase.
It's the old Reinhardt mating dance where Reinhardts act like goats and not in the compositional sort of way. Janitor out of the fight early. Graviton in tow here for Gods. The Legion just biding their time, keeping their health nice and healthy here. And you look for Gods as he's getting healed on the lens of Valkyrie up in the sky. And it's just a matter of when do you let this Grav go? When do you seize the opportunity? Gods flanking to the right, gets a Grav on in, picks up 3. And here comes the Legion on the follow through. The Zenyatta Transcendence was there though. Second Wind is actually able to deal with it. Panker did not want to invest the Earthshatter, saves it for later in the fight, and now it's Legion having to use way more than they wanted here. Blase's down, but the Earthshatter comes in. Not sure the fall through is there, and it's not.
Yeah, now Legion are just starting to really falter here on the offense. Panker honestly has been having a difficult time with this Reinhardt. His shield has been sitting around 500 HP this entire fight, actually for like the last minute of Blase. Once again, with another tire. Last time he was able to take out Suppose, and he tries to go again, but the Zarya barrier is there from Janitor.
The barrier was spot on. The problem is that everyone else was kind of gone at that point, so the Legion end up gritting their way through on pure mechanical skill, as second win did play the out game there pretty darn well.
3 minutes now for the Legion here. And of course, you have to remember that second win did not finish off the map. So the Legion, if they can get it there towards the end, that'll put them up 2-0. But now Wub has swapped off. He's on the Hanzo, and he's already doing critical damage. Corey has fallen. He's got the Dragon Strike ready. They've got the grab along with the Dragon if they need to. But another pick onto Corey takes him out. Legion starting to fall back.
I mean, the problem for second win is that their number is 3, which is about 3 minutes to hold here in the back. The Legion are going to get at least like 2 to 3 Gravitons out from Gods, and they don't have a 2 to 3 team fight buffer.
Gods could honestly, with how he's been playing the Zarya, just throw this out, but it looks like he's being patient with it as Blase is now on the Hanzo himself. Here comes a drag and grab combo. Yeah, I'm surprised they transcended that.
Well, the problem there is that maybe they thought the Mercy was a damage boosting it. She was. And as a result, pretty darn easy for second win to go in there and finish it off. But again, Legion, okay, they probably shouldn't have used the Transcend. They'll have it or they'll have grab of their own for the next fight.
They have the grab, but ultimately, you know, going into this last stretch of King's Row, you definitely did not need to use that. You could have held on for this fight right here. And now this fight isn't that clear cut. There is a world where second win can win this, but not with Moopy giving away his life like that.
Yeah, Moopy, you were a fodder secret agent there. You know how you have James Bond, the top star of the movie? You were the secret agent that gets murked in the beginning because you underestimated the Russians. That was not a good move coming in from Moopy. And as a result, so much positioning. Shadows gets picked, and now you look to Gods, has a Graviton ready, and this is looking all in favor of the Legion right now. And that's what one mistake can cost you, and this grab could be a finisher.
Now it only connects onto Moopy. Earthshatter does connect, but sorry, buddy, you're dead. 3 members down on second win as Blase with the Storm Arrows is trying to pick off that Widowmaker. Point is contested for now by Flubby, but he's the only one. Emergency Doomfist coming up from Wub, but that is gonna be it. The Legion, as we move in from the second half, or excuse me, from this first half, already have a 2-0 lead.
And they are officially in the playoffs. They will be going along with the Fusion University, so congrats.
Hey.
Generally speaking, pretty expected coming in here from the Legion, where second wind would have had to play way above the norm, and Legion would have had to play way below. Now, of course, we still have half of the series left to go, but it does mean that the Legion get to breathe pretty easy here as they move into the final 2 maps.
Right, but they clearly aren't breathing easy. They are fighting hard. Gods and Panker are just doing their thing. Like, I feel so proud whenever I see them teamwork together.
There's no player that I'm more sure of that's going to make it into the next OWL season than Panker. It's pure and simple. He's been so many leagues above most of the other main tanks here in Contenders that, you know, I think you would have to murder a dude at this point. He's really, really good. And so, really, Panker, well done and continues to impress.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite moves from seeing the tanks work together is seeing a Reinhardt shield block a Zarya or protect a Zarya, and it warms my heart to see such teamwork.
Pinker understood, you know. He got his fair share of shields from gods. He had to pull his weight there at that point.
Like you said, the Shield brothers, they were shielding each other. They're like, you know what, you got me, my dude, I got you. It was lovely to see. We also saw some more amazing play from so many members of both teams.
Shadows had a moment where he was looking more like his old self, but the problem for Shadows is that his old self, in a sense, is sort of defined by this inconsistency, right? Where we've seen flashes of brilliance where you're like, yeah, this player could have potential. And then we see moments where tanks are just having the time of their lives, pressuring him, and he's not able to make shots in tough situations. But, you know, there was a better showing from Second Wind here, just wasn't enough.
What I don't understand is why they just don't run Wub all the time. He seems to be the most consistent member on Second Wind, and yet he only gets brought in for like half the maps while they normally start Zaxel on the control. I feel like it could have been a completely different story. I feel like Li Zhang could have gone maybe in their favor if they had started off with Wub.
It is weird. I mean, obviously, there's inter-team politics to consider.
Yeah.
There was a point where Zaxel was the star DPS of Second Wind. Certainly helped them when they played down at DreamHack earlier this year. But, you know, it is one of those things where maybe they figured, okay, we'll still give Zaxel chances to shine here at Control. But Wub, in general, has had high points all throughout, and he wasn't even on Genji this time.
All right, it seems like maybe when your team doesn't start to pull any maps, it might be time to show your star players starting off and continuing through every map as you go forward.
Yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, Second Wind at this point, they're just trying to improve as much as possible and defend their contender spot because they got it by getting through Contenders trials, but they're going to have to deal with the teams that get up there once more later on in the year.
All right, well, we are 2-0, and Second Wind has a lot to fight if they want to take a map, but we will see how that goes after a quick break.